Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to tonight's feature presentation of the Friends of Sim Racers Tour Mountain Dew Dash Series, presented by the Fast Racing League, TDR Racing League, and Fuel Racing Leagues, live here on JTN on YouTube. I'm Joe Towanski. Alongside me tonight is Mr. Ricky Collette. Welcome once again to the booth, Ricky.
Hi there, Joe. It's glad to be again for another great night of racing.
And tonight we're here at the Kentucky Speedway, a track that can often really bite the back end of a car. It can bite a driver in the butt, in the back end. What are we going to be looking for as we as we transition today for qualifying?
Joe, well, it's another mile and a half here, and but with a twist. Kentucky Speedway is a very interesting place, very worn track. A lot of handling seems to come into play here. So you're going to see tires be a big name of the game tonight. Uh, Top of that, these cars are on the ragged edge right now. As they say, loose is fast. And this track, you're really getting it as loose as you can get. So we're really going to see these guys wheeling it around here tonight, trying to duke it out for that top spot.
Now, you talk about them wheeling it, and we also saw in practice that this race might come down to being able to stay in the draft like a lot of these mile and a halves do. What kind of momentum we haven't been to a true mile and a half since I believe what was it, Kansas, or if not Michigan. We haven't been to a true intermediate because last time 2 weeks ago we were at Pocono, and then before that we were at Sonoma. What kinds in Chicagoland the week or Chicagoland before Pocono, and then Sonoma before that. So I guess Chicagoland would have been our last time. I'm just losing all tracks of the schedule. It's a crazy time to be alive, ain't it?
It,
But
it's that week off. It fries your brain.
I was so excited. I told everyone here on YouTube, I was like, join us next week at Indy, and then it ends up we're not even going till Indy till the end of the month to give the drivers an off week leading into 4th of July, like this past Saturday. But talk about how a driver behind, these guys behind the wheels of their sim rigs, you know, or a controller, how they're going to be kind of challenging themselves, balancing that super speedway style draft, and then also the finesse that you need for a mile and a half.
Yeah. So like I said, Joe, with the finesse really comes into play on how you're driving this track. These Xfinity cars, it's really a matter of you're not off the throttle for a long time, but when you are off the throttle, it is imperative that you're getting around the track. When you let off the gas going into these turns, the car unloads a little bit. It helps it rotate, uh, and it really comes into play, especially in turns 1 and 2, to get that car to rotate off the bottom of the turn. So that's really where that finesse comes in. But where that super speedway mentality comes in is just drafting, like it always seems to do when we come to these mile and a halves. It's just that you get plenty of straightaway speed by yourself, but it just seems to amplify just a little bit more when you're following along with someone. Get a couple of guys together, and it really starts to pile up. You really want to make sure you have someone to tango with out there while you're trying to wheel it around this track.
Yeah, and you talk about having someone to tango with, someone to kind of a dance partner. Um, we've seen all season, though, a guy that hasn't had a lot of friends out there on the track. Matt Watkins has really dominated so far. He's won handfuls of races throughout the year, and then throughout our broadcast schedule so far since Richmond. Um, you talk about needing help, but he's shown that you don't necessarily need friends at the end of these races if you got a good car and a good driver behind the wheel.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it definitely comes down to talent more than anything. But I think an important thing to note is sometimes is just with I guess with how our field's sort of divided out. There's not a lot of we have two Revolution cars, and then it's sort of a kind of a mixed bag after that of different guys out there. There's not a lot of huge team connections, and the ones that are there aren't strong enough that really seem like team orders are an issue. So a lot of cases, when you're out there drafting, you're absolutely out there to help yourself more than anything. It's just circumstantially you got to work with people sometimes to make that happen. And I think Matt Watkins has been playing that the best out of anyone the past few times we've come to these mile and a halves.
So qualifying is now over. You see cars on track, or you saw cars on track. There they go into turn 3 here. Ricky, why don't you take us through our starting lineup for tonight's race?
Yeah, sure, Joe.
I'm having you do a lot here. You took a week off. You took a couple weeks off, actually. I got to get you back to work here. Got to
Yeah.
get you right into the thick of things.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah. Well, tonight for qualifying, only 5 cars took a lap of the 9 cars that we have listed as showing up tonight. On the pole will be none other than Matt Watkins in that 5th Toyota Supra. In the 2nd position will be Zach Krastowski in the 1 Camaro. In 3rd position will be Randall Coleman in the number 9 Napa Chevrolet. 4th position will be Tyler Stallhood in that Castrol 27. Cody Luke rounds out the top 5 in the 4 car. Andrew Miller clocks in at 6th place in the 47. Brian Wolf in the 29 will take the 7th position. David Day in the 5, a last minute entry, will start 8th. And Bill Murnahan rounds out the field in 9th in the 3 car.
Wow, what a strong field we have tonight. 9 drivers vying for the top spot to win here at the Kentucky Speedway. I want to go ahead and mention, if you're watching, there's a link down in the description. It's labeled as check out the Fast Racing League or something along those lines. If you go to that link, you can sign up to race here at Fast, the Tuesday Night Dash Series. Right now they're in the playoffs Wednesday nights for their Cup Series, which we also have race recap videos for those going up Thursday evening, most likely, again this week as they close their first opening round. You saw Andrew Miller have a spin there coming to pit road. Um, Check out the Fast Racing League. Go sign up. Give us, if you haven't dipped your foot into NR ever, if you haven't been in a while, go check it. Check out the Fast Racing League. This Tuesday night series is a great way to kind of get your feet wet again because it's fixed setup for you sim drivers, so that way you don't have to put a lot of time into making a setup to feel competitive. And you can just go out and show what kind of skill you got, and it's really, you got a lot of guys in here that kind of set the bar pretty high, and it'll really show you what you're made of. So, Ricky, with that being said, tonight we had a new partner last time with Autosim. You can also check out their website in the description below. Who's your Autosim driver spotlight for this evening?
Well, the past few weeks you keep having me on here, and we keep kind of going back and forth on who the guys to look at are, and you always seem to take Matt Watkins away from me before I get a chance to pick. So naturally tonight, I think I'm gonna go with the one of Zach Stowski.
So Zach
I
Chris,
think he's been.
good.
Oh yeah, I think he's been a little bit of a dark horse in the past half hour or so in these sessions. Been running fast laps in practice, had the fastest practice time. That up in qualifying, only a tenth slower than Matt Watkins' pole time. He's been running fast laps in happy hour here. I think Zach Krastowski is definitely seems pretty. I think Krastowski is pretty comfortable with the track tonight. I think it's really going to show in the race.
Yeah, he's been really fast behind the wheel of that number 1 Allegiant Chevy Camaro for Revolution Motorsports. He's done a great job of kind of learning a little bit more. Zach is definitely one of the veterans of the of the league, and has done a great job in recent weeks and months of just kind of getting the finishes he needs to get in certain situations, and then also maybe going out and gaining a couple spots when he doesn't have the car, say at Wednesday night or here on Tuesday nights, using a lot of strategy. We saw him do it at Chicagoland to get that second place finish there. So be interesting to see. Zach will keep, again, our Autosim driver spotlight is on the number 1 of Zach Krastowski. With that being said, since you left him on the board, I'm just going to go ahead and take Matt Watkins in that 15 car. Like you said, it doesn't make sense not to take him, so until someone can prove me wrong, which you talked about, oh no. You talked about the 5 car entering late here. Definitely a guy, David Day, definitely a guy that could probably get it done tonight.
Oh yeah, absolutely. David Day is definitely the kind of definitely a seasoned guy when it comes to fixed setup races. We just saw him come in at Sonoma last minute and just absolutely decimate the field. He's got a very good discipline when it's to preserving his stuff and getting the most speed out of the car. I don't know if Sonoma would be the best example of preserving his stuff because he was wheeling that like crazy. But I think that definitely shows more than anything that he can get every single bit out of a car the most efficient way possible. So I think he's definitely going to be one to keep an eye on as we run this race.
As the drivers are being called to their cars, we're going to again run you through our starting lineup this evening.
Start your engines!
The pole position tonight is going to be the 15 of Matt Watkins. Joining him again on the front row will be the one of Zach Kristowski. Randall Coleman in the 9 will be starting in 3rd spot. Tyler Stallhood, the 27, in 4th. Cody Luke in 5th place in the 4 Watermelon Chevy. Andrew Miller in 6th in the 47. Brian Wolf in the 29 will be in 7th. David Day in the 5 car will be starting 8th. And Bill Murnahan will round out the field in the 3 car in 9th place.
And again, a strong 9-car field here this evening. It's going to be interesting to see how the strategies play out as we roll down the backstretch here. A couple newsworthy notes. Tyler Stallhood making his 2nd race back. You see some random shapes in the background with this lovely, lovely track that's going to do a day-to-night transition for us. And, of course, the equipment we use here at JTN is definitely not up to those crazy standards, if you couldn't tell, but we do our best. Give you guys a great show. We're going to do that again tonight here. I'm Joe Townetwork, Ricky Collette by my side as the pace car pulls off. Matt Watkins will lead him to the green with Randall Coleman behind him and Zach Kristowski to his outside, starting 2nd. As they wait into the restart zone, and green flag is in the air. We are underway racing at Kentucky. Great start by the 15 car to get way out ahead of the 1 car, and Randall Coleman follows him through to get into 2nd. Coleman slides up in front of his teammate. You see those RVs kind of block our camera angles here down the backstretch. Apologize for that, but Watkins out to a healthy 3 to 4 car length lead, Ricky.
Yeah, it looks like Matt Watkins is already legging out a pretty healthy lead for the moment. See Andrew Miller back here in 5th. Seems like he's taking a high line around the track. It'll be interesting to see if any second line forms or if this ends up being a predominantly low line track. Usually with Kentucky, as you can see, the 5th a little higher. Usually you want to be around that center line as Randall Coleman makes a run for the inside.
Yeah, Randall looked like he had a lot of momentum going into 1. He carried that momentum through the corner to get to the inside, and even with the 15 down the backstretch, and he'll probably clear him off the corner here, and he does. But the 15 of Matt Watkins going to dice it back to the inside, try to go for this lead. Randall's going to lead the lap, get the bonus point, but Watkins is definitely going to challenge for the lead here going into turn 1.
Yeah, let's see how they come down into this turn. If Watkins gets enough momentum taking that low line, it looks like Randall Coleman actually is going to keep ground on that high line. Maybe that high line's definitely got a little more speed than we thought.
Yeah, I think 1 and 2 you might be able to run a little higher, but down here in 3 and 4, if you run a little low like you saw Matt Watkins, you're going to lose a lot of momentum. Also, another thing to think about is tire wear. We're going to see a lot of tire wear here at Kentucky Speedway. A rough, abrasive surface with the track being the 2013 version before the reconfiguration and repave. So, you see Matt Watkins clears Randall Coleman, but he might have used up his tires a little too much here early on in this race.
Yeah, and like I said, tire wear is just going to be such a thing here. I've done quite a few races at this track at Fast and among other places, and it always seems to come down to tire wear. You know, you always seem to get outpaced by somebody that just happens to be wheeling the car just a little bit, putting just a little bit less wheel into it than you are to get around these turns, and it really pays off at the end of a run.
As right now we're watching the battle for 5th between Tyler Stallhood and that 27 Supra and the 5 David Day. Day can't get the move done. Oh, stumbling all over my words. With Stallhood using that outside line, but a guy that's really used that outside line to his advantage is that 47 of Andrew Miller here early on in this race.
Yeah, I think Andrew Miller is really kind of nailing on something there. That high line is going to give you momentum. If it's working right now, then it's definitely going to give you that momentum, that drive off. My only concern with running that high line is you kind of have to, I guess, kind of coerce the car to turn a little more, using a little more wheel to kind of drive it around up there. On a fixed setup, usually the car has to be set up a little tighter, so it doesn't have that same advantage that an open set gives you with running a high line, because you can loosen it up as much as you want to kind of compensate for how much more the car has to turn. So right now, it looks like it's helping the 47 a lot. It'll be interesting to see if that seems to continue benefiting him for the rest of the race.
As you want to say hello to the Full Velocity Racing Network tuning in here on YouTube live on JTN, JoeTowNetwork on YouTube, saying that Randall is his second favorite driver with everyone else tied for number one. And I'd have to say that I share that sentiment. Randall is definitely my second favorite, but everyone else comes before him.
Well, you know what they say, Joe. If you ain't first, you're last.
They do say that, but top 10s can be really meaningful for some of these teams, and that's why it's great that all 9 of these drivers tonight are going to get a top 10 here.
Yeah, Joe, I want to bring attention back to 7th position. We got quite a lot here between 3 cars. Tyler Stallhard in the 27, Cody Luke in the 4, and Brian Wolf in the 29. They all seem to be kind of jockeying for position back here.
Yeah, you talk about...
Stallhard's been dropping back a little bit. Looks like he's still kind of getting back into the groove in Kentucky. He's definitely keeping that speed, but getting pounced by a few of these guys early.
Yeah, as we watch the 29 Fluid Studios Chevrolet Camaro for Brian Wolf here, he looks to the inside of Cody Luke for, I believe, what would this be, the 6th position? Looks like Stallhead might have gotten the wall there a little bit. He goes way off of it. But, drifted up the track a little bit. They're really racing hard for these positions. It shows you how much it means. Every position you can get is worth a point, and every point matters here in the Fast Racing League. So, important battles here throughout the field at Kentucky.
Yeah, Joe, important battles everywhere. Just noticed the one of Zach Krastowski kind of went to the inside of Randall Coleman for second there going through the tribal. Looks like he didn't have the momentum to make it work. Falls back kind of into the 47's clutches right now. But again, I'm saying you don't want to sleep in that one car, Zach Krastowski. He really seems like he's got some speed tonight.
Well, and if you can stay with those leaders, we've seen throughout the season that the 15 and the 9 are usually the class of the field. If the 5 shows up with David Day, he's usually right there with them. He started towards the back here. So that's obviously why he's maybe a little farther back off these top 4 cars, but he's gaining ground on them. If you can stay with those two aren't necessarily they can make mistakes. They're human, right? So if you're Zach, you gotta love seeing those two racing each other hard here early in the race. You know, maybe hoping that they make some contact, give you a little easier shot at the win. If not, Zach's obviously talented enough behind the wheel of that race car to get up there, battle these guys, and potentially go for a win here.
Yeah, Joe, like you said, they're close together here. It's a game of inches right now. Any kind of screw up that these top 2 make is gonna fall right into Zach Krastowski's hands and Andrew Miller's hands and David Day's hands because they're all right there pacing with them. Just, they all got to be perfect right now. And if the 15, the 9 start, stuff that they do now might affect them later in the race too. If they're not taking care of their tires or they're pushing it too hard, racing each other, they're going to let these guys pounce them later on.
As you see, Zach looks like he got a little tight through the center of the corner, and that's going to allow Andrew Miller to look to his outside for that 3rd position. Miller doing a great job of running that high line, running, what traditionally was called the Larson line. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but doing a great job of that, running up high closer to the wall, maybe not against the wall here, but to keep up his momentum down the straightaways.
Yeah, Joe. Well, I'm a traditionalist. I'm always gonna call it the Dale Jr. line. That's what I always remember.
Now we're 3 wide.
That high up, right? Oh, 3 wide here with David Day on the inside. I would say he's that high up yet. I don't think you can run against the wall, but you can run on the top of. You can see that groove where it kind of where the track kind of gets out. You can run maybe like a lane above that, but I think you need that space coming off the turn to that space on the wall to make that run work. If you're right up against the wall, I don't think the car is gonna get that run off. You might just take it right into the wall.
Yeah, and of course, as we're talking about Zach having a great run up there in 3rd, he gets taken 3 wide, falls all the way back to 5th. That's just how it seems to work here with us in the booth. Before the race, the driver of the 9, Randall Coleman, I've picked him a lot of races. He's like, don't pick me, don't pick me. Sounds like he has a pretty strong car tonight, so we're just going to jinx him having a great run here in that 9 car, sitting 2nd. So a booga booga to Randall Coleman.
Yeah, I just love Randall Coleman. He is just my #1 favorite driver, and I think he's going to win this race and win everything. No, that's just payback. That was tower orders. He was like, don't me tonight. And I think it's because he just doesn't want to get jinxed. So naturally, we gotta mess with him a little bit.
Oh yeah, we're gonna watch him for a few laps here as he's starting to lose touch with the 15 of Matt Watkins.
Yeah, and that's the nature of these mile and a half. So is that just with that draft, he can lose a little bit if he wants to. He can reel it back here and start kind of conserving his stuff if he really wants to. Even save fuel if he was so inclined. And he'll probably be able to stay with these top five cars. It's all just a matter of hanging on to that draft. So I don't know if there's a strategy player or if Watkins is just kind of making it through the corners a little better than him right now. But I wouldn't be too concerned about that at the moment. Seems like he's holding a pretty steady gap.
Yeah, I think one thing to consider tonight is it's a two-stop race no matter what. These guys can go 28 or so laps on gas. It's an 81 lap race. Um, so that puts you right at two stops to make it to the end. It puts you, you know, maybe it doesn't put you right on the edge, but you don't have a lot of extra laps, so it's not like you can pit 2, 3, 4 laps early. But these guys, they definitely gotta, maybe you save a little gas, go a couple laps longer than the other guys, so that way you can make that last run a little shorter, and that could definitely help maybe make up some ground towards the end of the run where the tires are really gonna matter for that last run here at Kentucky.
Well, it just comes down to just how well can you save fuel at this track. You know, some tracks, even mile and a half to mile and a half, sometimes it's a little fickle just with conditions and how heavy the draft is, how many laps you can actually save. Place like Kentucky, I've always found you don't really seem to be able to save a whole ton under green, and usually you almost get like a false positive, is that you think you're saving fuel and then it sort of just levels back out to where you started with at the end of a run, even if you're saving the whole time. So I don't think you're going to see a ton of fuel strategy here. These guys might be able to stretch it. I think it's really going to come down to almost just getting the jump on each other coming off of pit road. You know, who comes in first, who gets that extra time on track to sort of sneak by someone for the lead, who loses the lead on a pit stop. But I don't think it will come down to actually saving fuel tonight.
Yeah, as we're starting to see a lot of spread. We talked about in pre-race how these guys, there was definitely going to be some. We were going to have a lot of draft here, and a guy that's definitely used that tonight is David Day in this number 5, Pilot Flying J Camaro. He's done a great job, started all the way at the back, all the way up to third. As these leaders have kind of pulled away from the rest of the field, do you think David's going to be able to make up the ground to hopefully contend for this win?
Well, last time around, Randall Coleman ran a 30.343. David Day ran a 30.369. So he's about right in tow. Matt Watkins ran a 30.3 flat. So he's in line right now with what these guys are running. I think now that he's got some real estate there, if you can sort of catch the wind on that 9 car, he might be able to reel him in. Let's see as they come by this time. The 15 ran a 30.456. Randall Coleman ran a 30.448. David Day ran a 33.32. So I think kind of tracking in that wind of Randall Coleman in the 9, it's paying off for him. If he could sort of just keep that up, he might be able to kind of pull these guys back in.
He's done a great job, too, of navigating that traffic very effectively, not wasting time passing cars. We saw him make that tremendous 3-wide pass to get up into the 4th position from 5th on with Zach Krasowski falling all the way back to 5th from 3rd. But he's been really efficient about passing cars and not wasting time to try to get back up with these leaders so that he doesn't lose too much time.
Yeah, he definitely has been, and I think that's kind of a benefit of I think that's kind of comes from one of the benefits that this track seems to be having tonight, which is that we did see these multiple lines kind of form. You saw the 15, the 9 racing earlier. They kind of were able to make 2 lanes work, but as David Day kind of caught the one of Zach Krastowski there, and among some of the other guys, you saw the 29, the 4. That these guys could run 3 wide if they want to, and seem to make it work. So I think this track has a lot of maneuverability in it right now, and that's really paying off for these guys to be able to sort of sneak their way through the field, as it were, if they have the ability to do so.
And real quick, while we got the moment, I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. We see Bass, aka the artist formerly known as Kurt Montgomery, aka Tommy Bordeaux, out there in the chat, saying that there's a good crowd in here. It's not just a good crowd. We got a great crowd on hand tonight to watch this race with us. I'm Joe Twansky, alongside me, Mr. Ricky Collette. And, yeah, we've had a great show so far. Green flag so far throughout this race. Of course, I'm probably going to jinx it at this point, but these drivers have put on a great show for, kind of getting strung out as they have so far, but we've seen a lot of great racing so far, haven't we, Ricky?
Yeah, we definitely have, Joe, and it looks like these top three are starting to close back up together. 15, Matt Watkins, 9 to Randall Coleman. It looks like Watkins ran a slower lap last time, so he's kind of falling into Randall's hands right now. But the thing is, Watkins ran a 30.8, Coleman ran a 30.737, David Day in the 5 ran a 30.485. So, a little under 30.5 flat that last time by. They kind of replicate something similar this time by 30.7, so David Day running a 30.5. That 5 car is moving right now, and I think that draft's definitely inflating the lap time differential a little bit just because he has that toe. But you can see, I think he's definitely kind of, now that he's caught the 9, that's kind of pushing Randall forward into the 15. I think it's going to kind of throw him up together. Unless the 5 just goes for it on the inside here. Looks like he's not going to get the space just yet, but I wouldn't be surprised in the next couple laps here that he makes a run on the inside of Coleman.
Yeah, he like I said, he's done a great job, and definitely most likely the reason why that 9 car was able to kind of reel in the 15 a little bit more is now we see he's starting to fall off, so maybe that 15 was saving a little bit. But that 5 car has pushed the 9 of Randall Coleman all the way back up towards the 15 as he continues to kind of get that nose just about a half a lane to a lane under the 9 through the corner. That definitely helps with that tight condition through the corner. Because the game has the dirty air kind of, draft is a little bit tighter than it is when running by yourself as he makes the move to the inside. David Day on the inside in that 5 car. Randall Coleman to the outside. Randall's going to get a great run down the backstretch here. Don't think he's going to clear David. He's definitely not. Day still hugs the quarter panel, dumps a little bit of air on that spoiler to hopefully pull him back, but the 9 of Randall Coleman's going to continue to roll the momentum on the top here through 3 and 4, but they're still going to be side by side down the front straightaway barely. Coleman clears the 5 and retains the 2nd position.
And Joe, I didn't want to butt in. One is Zach Krostowski just pitted. He's back on track. 47 of Andrew Miller is going down right now. So Krostowski pitted back, I believe, on lap 29 at the beginning of that whole fight. I just don't want to butt in on it. He's listed on lap 29 right now, coming on lap 30. We're on lap 31 at the moment with the leaders. So I think these guys are starting to do their pit stops. We kind of discussed this. It was about high 20s. Thought these guys were going to be able to do to a fuel run. Interesting that these leaders have made it to lap 32 here on 1 tank of fuel. But looks like the 29 of Brian Wolf is coming down pit road right now as well.
Yeah, as we see our leaders, so we expect our leaders to be coming here pretty quickly. I wouldn't be surprised if all 3 of them pit together to kind of stay with each other. It looks like the 15 is definitely pitting here. You see he gets on the brakes a little bit. Oh! He hit that cone. It's gonna be interesting to see.
Close. Let's see what the officials say. I'm gonna roll back on the replay here as you're watching this.
Oh, is Cody Luke's around at the entrance to pit road as well. But we go back to the battle for the lead now. David Day in first place. I'm assuming him and Randall are definitely both going to be coming to pit road here this time. We'll get you a replay as soon as we see these guys make it to pit road. They're both off the gas. Oh, David Day really quick. Randall really quick to pit road, but they both make it.
Now, Joe, I need to preface this with that Fast no longer has hot pitting rules. So you don't have to worry about that. An issue where it used to be policed that your pit road speed was what you did when you hit the scoring line. So regardless if the game decided you have a speeding penalty, you just get scored as a penalty. The 15 hit that cone, that yellow line there, assuming that's the start of pit road, hit it at about 56 miles an hour. Pit road speed's 45, so it'll be interesting to see if he gets any penalties here. Looks like he's back on track right now.
Yeah, as we got the onboard with him, it sounded like that left front locked up on him and just sent the rear end of the car around and just wasn't able to probably get it loaded up in time. But I'm thinking that's going to definitely be a penalty here. Kentucky with a very strict pit road by NR standards entirely, so.
We'll see. It looks like he's staying on track right now. He's passing Randall Coleman. Past Randall Coleman and David Day, so I believe that was for position.
Looks like he's going to be coming here, though. Maybe. No, I guess he's staying out. I guess he didn't get that penalty, so.
I guess you got very lucky then.
We will see, but again, we talked about pit strategy. The 47 of Andrew Miller and the 1 of Zach Krastowski both pit before our leaders. They managed to gain 2 spots apiece. And if this 15 ends up having to come down for a penalty, that's going to give Andrew Miller the lead here.
Yeah, it looks like I'd imagine he would have came down pretty soon if he had had a penalty. I think he's probably good. Yeah, it looks like he's just taking the low line here. He's actually in second place right now. Tyler Stallhood was the
Oh,
leader last
Randall
time.
Coleman on pit road.
Oh my goodness, did we jinx him? Randall Coleman get a speeding penalty?
Oh no, Randall Coleman in the 9 Napa Chevy with a definitely not making pro laps here at the Kentucky Speedway with that blunder there, having to come through and serve a penalty. But you talked about Tyler Stallhood. He is your leader. Did he pit before these guys, or is he just staying out as long as he can?
Tyler Stallhood just came to pit road. He was leader when the 15 took the lead there. The unofficial lead there, he was technically still leader. He's in 8th right now. He just took it easy down pit road. At 27, just sort of, getting back into the groove of things, not ruffling any feathers, just sort of running laps, getting his feet wet again. Doing a great job tonight. But he was probably the most careful person out there getting on pit road. But we got a good battle for the lead here. Looks like 47 is trying to use that high line to get an advantage on the 15. Looks like he's going to get a huge run down the front stretch. He's going to go to the inside of Matt Watkins going into turn 1 here.
That was a huge run, but I think he might have made a mistake there. Instead of trying to get to the inside of Watkins, he really focused on pushing him for that first half of the front straightaway, and that gave all his momentum to that 15 car. So
now he knows that. He knows that high line's going to give him that run. So watch, he's going to do it again here, and I bet you he comes off this turn, he's going to get a huge run. The first thing he's going to do is try to duck that 15 when he gets to him. If he gets to him, he might have actually made enough of a gap that he's not going to catch him this time. But keep an eye out here with this 47 taking this high line in green 4. It really seems like he gets a huge run off. If you can get close enough to that 15, he could definitely use that to set up a pass.
as you see in that corner cam too, we have on the inside of turns 1 and 2, you can really see how close these guys are going through the corners. It really gives you an appreciation for the skill it takes behind the wheel of one of these sim racing machines here at the Fast Racing League. But Matt Watkins continues to be your leader after, albeit a very big scare coming to pit road for him and his team most certainly. But he's followed by Andrew Miller and Zach Krastowski now as David Day has fallen back to 4th. And Randall Coleman, which position did he cycle out in?
Randall Coleman was the only one I think that got a speeding penalty from what I've seen. So he's on the track right now in 9th, a lap down, and the 5 of David Day here, who is in 4th.
And that moves, I assume, Brian Wolf or Cody Luke to 5th? I'm so professional here.
Yes. Cody Luke is in 5th, Brian Wolf is in 6th. They're right together on track right now.
Yeah, so those two racing for a top 5 now, something that didn't seem, it seemed like they were racing for that 6th position at one point, but top 5 is definitely a good stat to have here. That means you're in the top half of the field, so, that's definitely a plus here. As you see these guys continuing, Andrew Miller scrapes the wall off of turn 4.
Yeah, you're playing a dangerous game when you're on up high sometimes. It's like a monkey's paw. You're getting more speed, but man, you get close to that wall. Also, a little surprised the 47 is not trying to run up high in 1 and 2 as well, or at least above that group, because it seemed to pay off. I noticed it worked pretty well earlier in the race when Randall Coleman, the 9, and Watkins, the 15, were racing there. One thing to take note of, Zach Krastowski back up to 3rd here. It looks like David Day kind of got leapfrogged a little bit on that pit cycle. Kind of got him shuffled back to 4th. He might actually come back into this, or at least come back up to Krastowski in the 1, because he has Randall right behind him. So he's got that drafting help right now. It looks like these 3 guys are all going to cluster together. It'll be interesting to see if they work together, if Krastowski just lets him by, or what they end up doing, or if they try just like racing for it. It looks like David Day's going to make the run to the inside. He's going to get a push from Randall Coleman here, and doesn't look like Krastowski's going to do much to contest that.
Yeah, and Coleman's going to even go to the inside of his teammate here, who he's not battling for position.
Yeah, it might not be, the worst idea in the world right now to be trailing these guys, honestly. You're getting a draft off of some fast guys. You got to kind of field sometimes. They're both fast. You can kind of get the draft from them, get a little bit of that toe, and it might help bring you up to the 15 and the 47.
And as we watch the one of Zach Kristowski, it's worth mentioning that he is our Autosim driver spotlight this evening in that one Allegiant Chevy. Autosim is the new, exciting, fantastical motorsport simulation game for NASCAR. Visit the link in the description below, autosim.weebly.com. There you can get download links to the open beta currently. There's also links on their website for their Discord. And there's also an r/autosim. So if you're a Reddit person, go out there, join their Reddit as well. Did I say it right? Reddit? What would it be called?
Yes, Reddit.
join their Reddit thread. To get more information, Autosim, a new simulation experience for NASCAR. Again, check those out in the description below. Zach Kristowski, our Autosim driver spotlight. We saw in that opening pit strategy call for the 47 and the 1, Ricky, was to pit early, pit right when the window opens to make it on one more stop to the end. Do you think those guys try to short pit the leader, the 15 and the 1, or the 15 and the 5 again, to maybe make up some time like they did on that first run?
Well, Joe, I don't know if they necessarily have much of a choice. When you short pit there, you're moving your pit window back because now you know, short pitting is just cutting down on what your current run looks like in terms of how many laps you ran. So you're not gaining anything at the end of the race per se in terms of laps on fuel or anything. So they're kind of gonna have to pit earlier than these guys if they're gonna stay on the cycle. That being said, pitting earlier doesn't seem to be too detrimental for them. It almost might be in the best interest of the 5 and possibly the 15 to pit when the 47 pits, just to stay with them so that he can't sort of jump over them on pit road again.
Well, and if you're the driver of the 15, Matt Watkins, if you're him, after we had that really big scare coming to pit road, what are you doing differently to make sure that you don't have another crazy moment like we saw there coming to pit road?
I guess he just got to get on the brakes lower earlier. I think the issue was, I think he just kind of took it in hot, kind of overestimated how much a car would be able to slow down without locking up the tires, and then just sort of slid it in, and it worked. In the grand scheme of everything, it worked. So I don't know if he was going to change a whole ton, but to his method, but I think he'll probably try to be a little more conservative next time coming to pit road, but that's really just going to be a matter of probably braking a little earlier, or just maybe letting the car get wound down just a little bit more before you slam on the brakes.
And we're going to be coming up on those pit stops here in the next 10 or so laps. So it'll be interesting. Again, I use that word interesting a lot because it is pretty crazy the way these pit stops. We saw that we saw a relatively large spread too with those opening pit stops here. You know, to see how much it helped that 47. If you're the one of Zach Kristowski who's now fallen farther back from these top 3 drivers, you're definitely thinking about trying to pit earlier again to try to maybe gain some of that time back, or do you go to the end of your fuel so that way you know, okay, maybe I'll have some fresher tires, so if these guys decide to do something silly, get into each other, cause, you know, someone to hit the wall, maybe do some damage to the car, slow it down, then you got fresher tires for the end of the race.
Honestly, there's not much you can do in that position. You kind of just have to go with the ladder, maybe get fresher rubber and hope that that does something. The unfortunate thing is just the draft means more than anything. That's just how it comes down to at tracks like this. The draft means more than literally everything, even tire wear. So the fact that the one of Zach Kristowski's out there by himself is going to be detrimental to him being able to track these guys down at all. Interestingly enough, one of Zach Kristowski is not present on the track for me. I don't know if he's having some transponder issues.
Now, this Kentucky track, just a little backstory for all of our fans.
Yeah, Zach Kristowski is out.
I see Ryan Pace in our live chat here. Again, to be part of the live chat, you join us at 9 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday nights to we can read your questions, try to answer as many as we can if you have them, and get shout outs. So you see Ryan Pace, a fellow JTN commentator, in the comment section. Now Ryan in the past has had a lot of troubles here at Kentucky. He's also been the beneficiary, if I'm using that word correctly,
Yes,
of this Kentucky track. This Kentucky, it's called Kentucky SDT 2013 is the track they are using tonight. has a history of crashing people's games, so I wouldn't be surprised if it crashed the game of the number 1 is Zach Krastowski. An unfortunate event for him as he was having a great run here this evening.
Yeah, that's just sometimes the way it goes, Joe. Some of these tracks are low intensive. It's really just a continuing work in progress, figuring out how to get these things to work and how they don't. But the problem is too is just sometimes it's just computers, graphics cards under load. The whole game's old. Everything's old about this. The graphics card doesn't like playing with that. You get these bigger tracks and it kind of wreaks havoc on it. And especially when you do it for this long of a time, as we come to lap D6, as we hit the line here. Just a long time for anything to go wrong, and usually at some of these tracks they will go wrong. As you see Zach Krastowski coming back out on track. I believe Fast Rules.
He gets
will
all but 1
dictate
lap back.
all but 1 lap back. I don't know if TDR, the fact that it's a
It's
TDR sanctioned
it's
race.
the fast rules.
Okay, my apologies.
No, you're
I
good.
did not research this before the race.
Well, you didn't. A lot of times.
JTN off the fly.
JTN, off the cuff, bringing you motorsports sim racing action for the Fast Racing League.
Real and unfiltered.
And the unfiltered. Well, comment below if you'd like to hear an unfiltered version of JTN one night for either one of these dash races or a different series. Because I bring you an unfiltered broadcast, and I think we'd have a lot of fun. We could have a lot of guys in the booth commentating the race. As you see, Tyler Stallhood, again, we talked about how he was coming back to the series. It looks like 5 at David Day. Big moment there down the front straightaway as they closed up on the lap car of Tyler Stallhood in that 27.
Yeah, that's such a tricky spot there because Tyler Stallhood is not trying to get in these guys' way. He's up against the wall. Problem two is David Day's trying to use every inch of racetrack that he can to get at these guys, up to these leaders. So it's just a matter of, Stallhood was up against the wall there. Day was coming fast. He kind of probably had to go the route he was taking under the load he's probably under right now. Their paths met. No harm, no foul though. It seems they're all good. Stallhood's got the draft days ahead of him. It seems like everything's nice and orderly now. David Day is still tracking down these leaders.
Stallhood in the wall. Sorry,
It'll be interesting to see if this 5 catches these guys before they got to come back for pit stops. They're coming off of turn 4 here to take lap
Andrew Miller
60.
coming to pit road. I'm sorry, big moment there is where
Andrew Miller.
Yeah, he came to pit road there, and it looked like the 5 almost hit him coming there. It looked like he was definitely made a late commit. So, again, short pitting almost. I don't know if... No, it's not really short pitting at this point.
For him, it's not really short pitting just because of the way that he's pitting right now, his whole pit cycle. And I just like to correct something from earlier, Joe. Pit road speed's actually 50 miles an hour, not actually 45.
Yeah, so with it being 50 miles per hour, I bet you that 15 of Matt Watkins, you said he was at 56, I believe, when he hit the cone.
Yeah, so that's a little more buffer. I thought he was like 10 miles an hour over. That would really bring it down to like 5. So that would explain why, the whole pit road speed, it's like actual pit timing. It's distance over time, so it's not... Usually it's not hard to sort of correct the issue if you're a couple over.
Well, no, the way NASCAR pit road works, it's not distance over time, it's time over distance. You see, they time...
It's 9:45 p.m., Joe. I am very tired. On the East Coast. Where's my East Coast boys at?
I'm in the same time zone as you, buddy. But if you're in the East Coast, joining us at 9:44 actually is the current time. Not 9:45, as you so blatantly put it. If you're joining us live, tell us what time zone you're coming to us from here on JTN. It helps us figure out who's watching these broadcasts to give you the best times possible. So it looks like David Day has fallen behind the 9 of Randall Coleman.
Yeah, it looks like he has, and I think he might have just burned out those tires a little bit. He was really pushing it, and I think it just sort of came back to bite him a little bit.
Matt Watkins coming to pit road again.
Well, he is. Yeah, he made it 50. He definitely he slowed up a little more. He still slid it in, but it's coming in for 4 tires. Honestly, flat spotting doesn't mean much. I'd like to bring a point. Tommy Bordeaux in chat says West Coast, Beast Coast. I'd like to disagree with that. I think East Coast, Beast Coast, but it is an important difference. Speaking of Tommy Bordeaux, I'd like to take this moment to just say support your local clam farmer. Eat clams. David Day comes down to pit road here from the first position.
So we were watching the 47 of Andrew Miller. There's a lot going on tonight on JTN. Glad that you're along for the ride with us. So we're going to see, here's Matt Watkins coming off of pit road. We're going to see where the 47 of Andrew Miller cycles out with him.
He's going to definitely leapfrog the 15 here. Coming off of pit road. And looks like the 15 will fall in line. He's still getting up to speed, though. That 47's full song. They're going to level out here in 3 and 4 because the 47's got to slow down to about 170, and Watkins is already up to speed at about 170. So this is about where they're going to be sitting for the moment.
But that is definitely a big change of track position. We saw coming to pit road, Andrew Miller was about 3 to 4 car lengths back. Now he's got at least 10 to 15 car lengths on the 15. So, again...
Oh, absolutely. David Day coming off pit road right now. Looks like he might actually be able to leapfrog the 15 here, too. That's an interesting development. 15's going to get to the inside. He's going to catch the 3 of Bill Murnahan, and he can't get past him. 3 of Murnahan went down there with David Day, or came off pit road with David Day there. He's trying to keep speed, too. He's trying to run his own race. He's a lap down, but so is the 4, so is the 27, so is the 29. So he's running his own race right now. He's got to be running as hard as he can. And the 15 just got hung up on him there. This is really going to play into the 47's hands, depending on how hard David Day races the 15 for position.
Well, yeah, and if you're Andrew Miller, you want these two to keep racing side by side. It slows those two down and allows you to continue to build on your lead as Matt Watkins barely clears the 5 off of turn 4, gets up in front of him, is going to try to get a push down the front straightaway. But David Day goes back to the inside, trying to make the move for second place.
Yeah, and you know, Joe, I gotta be honest. I know these guys both know they're fast. That 15's fast, that 5's fast, but that 47 ain't no slouch. I almost think these guys might want to be working together here, if anything, to sort of catch him and then sort of let the chips fall where they may beyond that. As they come off turn 4 here to lap 68, they don't have a whole ton of time left to make a move, so they really would probably benefit from working together. It looks like the 15 of Matt Watkins is already starting to track back down that 47, though.
And Matt Watkins bringing on the Funko Pop sponsorship this evening from the Super Mario sponsorship that he's had on the car all season long. But yeah, that was really crazy, scary almost for a second there with Bill Murnahan, that 3 just an innocent bystander. David Day looked like he used that 3 car as a pick to try to keep the 15 behind him as he got up to speed. It worked for a couple laps, but now Matt Watkins has moved back into the second, is tracking down our leader Andrew Miller in the 47.
I'd like to clarify real quick, Joe. The 1 of Zach Krystowski is actually the leader at the moment. He has not yet pitted. The 47 will be the leader when the 1 pits. The 1's... Actually, I'm not sure where the 1's pit cycle is since he dropped out. He got that 1 lap down. But the thing is, I believe if you drop out and you come back in, that just refuels you and gives you tires.
Yes.
So... But that was before the beginning of this fuel. That was before any of these guys came down pit road. So I don't believe Krystowski can make it. But he can go quite a ways.
I think he's going to be able to go. He might be able to go the distance because I think he fell out around lap 50, and we say they can make it almost. They can make it just past 30. If he saves a little bit, he might be able to make it to the distance, and that falling out of the server might end up being really good for him in that 1 car. But we're going to continue to watch the 47 of Andrew Miller. Another rule to point out that I don't recall if it's currently in the rule book, but if you drop out of a race and it's before the final pit stop, you get all your laps back but 1. If you drop out of said race, sometimes fast racing league officials require you to come back to pit road to take gas, to take tires. That way you don't get an unfair advantage by dropping out at the opportune time.
Joe, I hate to butt in. It looks like we're coming to the line. 10 to go.
Oh boy, with 10 to go, that is our TWB 10 to go as we continue to see the battle for the lead. For years, TWB has provided consumers and businesses alike with products and services that get stuff done. TWB, let's do this together. That is our TWB 10 to go as you continue to watch Andrew Miller and Matt Watkins here doing a great job, great battle here for the lead. That 15 car has just been so fast. Matt Watkins, a great driver behind the wheel. He's going to look to the inside, peek to the inside as we go down the front straightaway on Andrew Miller, but it doesn't look like he'll be able to get the job done. If I'm Matt Watkins, I'm definitely thinking about taking that high line away from Andrew Miller, who's done such a great job of rolling the top, rolling the momentum through the corners, but doesn't follow my advice. Now they're side by side down the backstretch. Matt Watkins on the inside, Andrew Miller on the outside as we go into turn 3. Watkins is definitely going to clear him.
Watch this, Joe. That 47. Watch this, Joe. That 47 is going to get a huge run off of 3 and 4 here, though. This isn't exactly over yet.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh no, it's going to get close. And let's see if he. Where's he go? 47 is going to take that high line. Let's see if he can rotate a little more than the 15. It looks like, for the moment, it looks like they're going to fall in place here. It does bring an interesting point, though. Zach Krastowski is now drafting with the 4 of Cody Luke in the lead. So Krastowski is not running fast lap times right now. He's running 36s. These two guys back here are running 29.9 and a 31 respectively. 30.1 respectively. If Krastowski can make this, do these guys catch him first, or is he just going to kind of pace himself and hope they can get the win here?
Yeah, it looks like they're just over a straightaway back. And I don't know if they're going to have enough time to make it all the way up to this one car. So the one is Zach Krastowski, our Autosim driver spotlight this evening. You can see the leaders at the back of your screen through 3 and 4. But Zach Krastowski in this one car looks like he's in the catbird seat to win this race if he doesn't have to come back to pit road.
Yeah, it'll be quite an interesting thing, Joe, because I don't know if I've ever seen someone win the race off of falling out of the server. You know, Krastowski did everything he was supposed to. You can't time it sometimes. Connection issues, you can't do anything about those. Those are like 1 in a million thing. They're just stupid little random things. They're the bane of everyone's existence. God only knows that they've bitten me so many times. But Zach Krastowski went by all of the all proper protocol there. Came back on track, went a lap down as noted. But the way this really kind of worked out, that almost just gave him an early pit stop. So be interesting to see if we could stretch it to the end here. This 15, this 47 are within a straightaway of them, though. They are closing in quick. It will be interesting to see as they catch them as they're coming off turn 4 to take lap 78.
As we continue to watch, the one is Zach Krastowski. That 4 Cody Luke starting to get smaller and smaller out his windshield, but that doesn't matter because he's the leader. Zach Krastowski, the one car, is in numero uno place. See Darren Ingram, Tommy Bordeaux saying, "Come on, Zach," and "Go, Zach," respectively. Zach Krastowski, your leader right now. There's a lot of fans down there in the chat rooting for Zach. We're rooting for Zach here, too. Our Autosim driver spotlight this evening, doing a great job behind the wheel of that one car as he continues to lead. Hopefully, can make it to the end on fuel, doesn't have to pit, and those second and third place don't get to him.
Man, Joe, they're taking a second a lap off, but they're still 3.6 seconds back. It's lap 79. That's 2 or 3 laps to go. It's gonna be close. If Krastowski's gonna just keep pacing himself, if he can get any wind off the Ford of Cody Luke, it's him right now. I'd be asking Cody.
Oh, Zach's got to come to pit road.
Oh, look at this.
Oh no.
Zach Krastowski coming down pit road. That 47 Andrew Miller hits the wall.
No, don't pit. No.
Oh my goodness.
No.
Looks like that one must have pushed it right to the limit. Man.
No.
That was my goodness. That was an interesting turn there. And the 15 of Matt Watkins now is the lead as he's coming off of turn 4 here for the white flag.
Is it the white flag?
Yeah, the white flag at lap 81.
Oh my god. It's the white flag here. 1 lap to go. Matt Watkins with the commanding lead. Well, I won't call it commanding, but it's a big lead over the 47 of Andrew Miller here at Kentucky. Ricky. Oh my.
Interesting to see where the 1 of Krastowski comes out as. I'm not even really sure either. I'm not really sure where the end cycle's going to be. I just know Matt Watkins is coming off of turn 4 right now, and he's going to take this win.
Yeah, Matt Watkins brings it home off of turn 4. We thought he had a couple speeding penalties. He didn't. Matt Watkins wins at Kentucky Speedway. He's going to be followed by Andrew Miller. David Day is going to come home 3rd. And then I have no idea who's 4th because it's a big jumble up here.
Cody Luke looks like he's going to take 4th in the 4 car. The next person to cross the line will be Randall Coleman in 5th place, 1 lap down. So Cody Luke will be in 4th. Great night for Cody Luke.
Great, well, another great run. He had a great run at Pocono 2 weeks ago as well, and had a decent run going at Chicagoland, so a lot of momentum for this Ford team. But Matt Watkins is your winner. You see contact off of turn 4. We finally get a wreck here after the race, but Matt Watkins looks like he's going to probably take it to victory lane here at the Kentucky Speedway. Your winner tonight at Kentucky in the Quaker State 125. We'll see if he's going to... I have no idea what he's doing right now.
My goodness, Joe. That's all I gotta say. How confusing that was.
That
I hope you guys enjoyed it as viewers. We were just as lost there trying to figure out who was where. I really thought Zach Krasowski had to pit there. I thought like when he was out there leading, I was thinking, okay, he's got to pit, and then he made it to 2 to go there, and I really thought he was gonna make it at that point. But looks like the 15 is going to take the win tonight.
Yeah, great win for Matt Watkins. Before we go off the air, we're going to try to get you an answer on that one car. We'll try to get you an answer on that real quick here. That way we don't leave you guys hanging. I'm guessing the best person to go to would probably be Randall Coleman, our league administrator, to just make sure that that wasn't him having to pit because of the rules. It was just because of... Just going to check in on this. But Zach ended up coming home, what, 7th, I'm assuming? 7th or 8th?
Yeah, he came a few positions down.
Yeah, so an unfortunate turn of events for that one team. Looked like they had the win in the bag. They definitely led a lot of laps here tonight, so some momentum, especially after the game crash that caused him to fall out of the server.
Yeah, absolutely. That one team should have a lot to hold their heads high about. Really had an unfortunate set of circumstances there, and then really kind of pulled it back out of nowhere. You really got to appreciate that. You had me on the edge of my seat there. I definitely wanted to see Zach take that win. But
yeah, and
again, that domination by the 15 team seems to be ongoing at these mile and a halves.
And I've gotten word from fast officials, Zach had to pit for the rules. So the rule is if you fall out of the server before a pit stop, you can't use that falling out as an advantage. So since he fell out in time to where he would have had, I'm at a loss for words right now, guys. A very, very sad result to what was a spectacular race. But if you fall out of the server due to a connection issue, due to a game crash, and it's before a pit stop, you still have to make that pit stop even if you didn't have to. So he had to come down pit road. He probably just, I don't know if he just drove through or if he took 4 tires. But he definitely stayed out as long as he can. I'm assuming he probably was arguing with officials over it. So unfortunate for that one is Zach Krastowski. Yeah, definitely Tommy Bordeaux writing lame. And I would agree with it. But if it is the rules, it is the rules. And that's what we do at the Fast Racing League is follow L rules. So, with all that being said, Ricky, if you had to wrap it up in one sentence, what would you say?
I'd roller coaster. Everything about this was just it was all over the place. You never knew what was going to happen next, or just playing around with strategies. We really had the 2 most dominant cars up there all night, but it was just everything kept happening. People kept having issues. The 15 almost overshot pit road a few times there. Just everything happened tonight that really kept you on the edge of your seat. You didn't know you really didn't know where it was gonna go. It's just gutted for Zach Krastowski there and that whole one team. You know, I understood that you get all but a lap back, but it's unfortunate that that's kind of how the chips fell. It does seem a little arbitrary, but I do understand why it's not really in the it's not really fair to have someone win it by falling out. So he did everything he could have. He did everything that he could have done in his position. Just wasn't meant to be tonight, I guess.
Yep, so just, again, a clarification from the tower. Since he fell out within the fuel window, it gives him an advantage, because then he would only be 1 lap down, whereas he could have been 2 laps down, say, and then he would have only got back to the 1 lap, or at least been on the same lap or strategy. So we saw he was probably, what, 2-3 seconds off the lead, and then he comes out of the cycle 6 to 7 seconds ahead after pitting so much earlier, or what would have been considered a pit stop. So it's just, again, it's just about not giving a driver an unfair advantage over the rest of the field. So that would be the reason for that. But again, heartbreaking for the one team. That's obviously got to really stink for them. But it shouldn't undermine a great race we had tonight at Kentucky for JTN. Don't think we're going to get any driver interviews this evening. We can try to get winner Matt Watkins. We'll try to see if he's available for comment. If we can get him. Up here in the booth. We'll give him a couple minutes to try to give us a response. We'll also... Alright, so I'm going to pull Matt up here with us. You're going to hear a user has joined your channel. So, welcoming into the JTN booth, we're going to welcome in Mr. Matt Watkins, driver of the number 15 Funko Pop this evening. Change of sponsorship, 15 Toyota Supra. Welcome to the booth, Matt, and congratulations on your win at Kentucky.
Appreciate it. That was a really fun race with spread out long runs. Kept trying to figure out the whole race, go in there and it bottomed out pretty good and it pushed me. I just kept trying to find a rhythm and finally I got a decent rhythm for a while and had good ups and then didn't know if David took 2 or 4 there when he got ahead of me. I was like, oh boy. So I had to run up there and get him, and then Andrew, I don't know if I was gonna get him because I knew I had a little fresher tires, and I was able to get him just enough. Then once I got in front of him, I kind of just parked it there and cruised and worked out.
Yeah, and you talk about, we saw a really crazy, I don't want to call it scary, but it was scary for me. We saw David, he came out with the 3 of Bill Murnahan to his inside. We saw, he almost made contact with the 3, almost made contact with the 5 because you were coming at such a high rate of speed. What was that like behind the wheel?
Yeah, I actually did make contact with Bill, the 3. I tried to, had this idea I was going to split them, and I made a little bit of contact with him, and it kind of shot me in the track, so I was like, I just kind of gathered myself up here. I had no idea David took that. Had I known that, I probably just would have stayed behind David, but I thought that was my chance to pounce there, so I tried to cut that a little too close, but yeah, that was a moment.
All right, and we're going to let you go so you can go celebrate your win with your team, but anyone you want to thank before we let you get out of this interview and go have some fun with the rest of the boys?
I like to thank the gentleman that made this template now. The Supra looks 10,000 times better than the one that was on there. So glad to have a decent paint scheme now for that. And appreciate you guys putting these on. It's pretty cool to watch back, look back on these every week. So thank you guys for time to do this. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
And it's got to be a lot of fun, too, seeing that 15 car go into victory lane. Seems like 9 times out of 10. Congratulations on your win, Matt, and good luck next week. I believe, where are we going to be next week? We're going to be somewhere next week, probably New Hampshire or something like that. But good luck then, and we hope to see you continue to join us here in the Dash Series.
Cool, appreciate it.
All right, and that was Matt Watkins, driver of the number 15 Toyota Supra.
Left your channel. Error.
See here, he leaves the channel, gets out of here, wants to go talk with his team. Ricky, again, you summed it up as roller coaster. It was a crazy race. For everyone here at JTN, just like to thank you guys for tuning in. If you're watching the replay, if you watched live, we appreciate anything you do for us, giving us a like on the video. As we're getting a poke, so Andrew Miller wants an interview, so we're going to interview him real quick, I guess. A little pushy there, don't you think, Ricky? So I'm going to let you handle this interview then. How does that sound?
I handle the interview. All right, come on, let's bring him in here.
All right. So, Andrew Miller, driver of the number
User was
47,
moved
I believe
to
it's
your
the
channel.
Sonic the Hedgehog Chevy Camaro. Andrew, I'm going to let Ricky do this interview, so here you go.
Andrew Miller finishing second tonight. You had a great run there and just came up short at the end. Looked like you really had something going there on that high line all race. You want to tell us what you were kind of trying to do there to race that 15?
Well, I remember some previous races I've done on this version of Kentucky. The outside was actually preferred. It was way faster than the inside, so I figured I'd give it a try, and I felt like I could maybe save my tires a little better up there, get some better runs up there, and it was just kind of where I felt most comfortable. I eventually had to go down to the inside because it was a little faster at the end of the day, but I mean, congrats to Matt. That one stings a little less than Charlotte did, but still really cool. Still really. That was everything I had, and congrats to him. And that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it looked like you were really doing some crazy things there tonight, trying to get an advantage. The other thing, you seem to really have a separate pit strategy from everyone else tonight. Can you tell us a little bit about what you were thinking there? It looked like you were really pitting earlier than everyone else. It almost paid off at the end.
Well, and at the first stop, the one car announced that he was pitting pretty early, so I looked at how much fuel I had left. I still had like 6 laps, and I thought, interesting. So I thought about it, and it's like, you know what? I could try and go for the undercut here because the 9 and the 15 are starting to get away from me. So I went for the undercut route, and it just about worked because I was right on Matt's butt after the first stop, and then I was past him after the second one. He caught me eventually. He's just the dominator of this series, and he really knows how to get it done. So he just had the better car, but I guess that was my mentality, trying to track position that way, and I'd say it paid off this time.
Yeah, and
Yeah, well,
Andrew,
my apologies. Go ahead, Joe.
no, you're good. Andrew, congratulations on your second place finish. Before we let you go, anyone you want to thank?
Well, hi Haley, if you're watching, love you. Of course, all the boys from that server, and of course, I have to conclude this interview by saying, "Gotta go fast."
That was Andrew Miller, driver of the number 47 Sonic Chevrolet, after finishing second. A great run for Andrew. Thank you so much for joining us in the booth. Good luck next week.
My pleasure, and thank you all. And Infinite is still the best character. Sue me.
User left your channel.
That was Andrew
Error.
Miller. I have no idea what Infinite is. I'm assuming it's a Sonic character, maybe? I don't know. I'm not hip with the kids, Ricky. I'm not hip with the kids.
I'm not hip either, Joe. I stopped paying attention
I know
a
I
long
might
time ago.
I know I might sound like I'm 12, but I can assure you I am not 12. Anyways,
It's got to be a Sonic thing.
it's gotta be.
Sonic on the car. It's got to be a Sonic thing. That sounds like a Sonic.
Anyways, as I see our viewership's kind of going down here, so that's probably a good signal for all of us here at JTN. We'd like to thank you for tuning in, showing your support. Anything you do to help support us, it means the world to me, especially. This has always been what I've wanted to do, is kind of like a little dream to do broadcasting. Ricky, thank you so much for, again, helping with the broadcast and joining me. It's been a really fun ride. We're going to continue to do it. We're going to bring you some playoff recaps. I hope to bring you guys that Thursday night for tomorrow night's Cup Series race because I'll be competing in it. And then, depending on how that race goes, we might end up broadcasting a few of the playoff races. And Ricky, I would hope that maybe you could join me for those. So I'm asking you kind of on the air, putting you on the spot. Don't want to do that, so we'll talk about that later. But we'd like to thank everybody. Go to our Facebook page, give us a like over there, share the video with your friends, share your video with your family, whoever you think would watch it. Shout the name JTN from the rooftops. Send the links JoeTowNetwork on YouTube. And we hope to see you guys joining us for hopefully the premiere of the recap video, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. It's a live premiere, so you can join us in the chat for that, as well as joining us next week, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, here Tuesday night for next week's race in the Fast Mountain Dew Dash Series, presented by the Fast Racing League, TDR Racing League, and Fuel Racing Leagues. For everyone here at JTN, including Ricky Collette, my name is Joe Twansky, and we will see you next time here on JTN.